So Kim got the name and likeness over my black children. So a white woman has control over the name and likeness of my black children. However, I asked you at the time if I could trademark her name. You said yes. When she's 18, it goes to her, so stop. I sent paperwork over so she wouldn't be in the Diddy song to protect her. One person has to trademark. We agreed when they were born I would get all of our kids' names and trademarks so no one else would take them. And Kanye replied, amend it or I'm going to war, and neither of us will recover from the public fallout. You're going to have to kill me. Changed our kid's last name to Kardashian and have them drop the West last name. According to her, Kanye is something of a deadbeat dad, and she's raising the kids alone, so she might as well have them drop it. Kardashians have faced allegations of being yacht girls for a long time, and that Kris, being their supposed momager, is just a cover for her being with their alleged pen shadows for over 14 years, allowing the Kardashians to use my name to my name, make billions of dollars over a decade and a half, talking about a topic I've never really spoken about. I've never leaked anything. I've never leaked in my life. There has never been a leak. It has always been a deal and a partnership between Kris Jenner and Kim and me. We've always been partners since the beginning of this thing. In dating anybody, this whole little group of kids have been around forever, and I call them kids because, relatively speaking, they kind of all travel as a pack and they enjoy each other's company. We all live in the same neighborhood. Tiger used to live across the street for a long time, and now he lives next door to Chloe. But it was
the internet didn't just wake up shocked, it woke up unsettled. Kanye West is spiraling again, but this time, the rumors cutting through social media aren't about music, politics, or another public meltdown. They're about his daughter. Alleged leaked DMs from Northwest Phone have triggered a wave of panic, speculation, and deeply uncomfortable questions, with whispers ranging from secret messages to situations a 12-year-old should never be anywhere near. According to online chatter, Kanye allegedly found the messages himself, and what he saw reportedly sent him into full crisis mode. Now fans are asking the question no one wants to ask out loud. What if Kanye's warnings over the years weren't paranoia, but panic? When you connect this moment to the custody battles, the trademark drama, and his long-standing claims about Hollywood exploiting children, this stops sounding like another Kanye episode and starts sounding like something far darker. And if a child this famous could be hiding something this serious in plain sight, people are wondering, what else is being missed, ignored, or brushed off until it's too late? It reportedly started with something small enough to miss, but alarming enough to stop a parent cold. According to online chatter, Kanye West allegedly came across messages on Northwest Phone during one of their visitations. Messages that immediately set off alarm bells. Not because of fame or money or clout, but because of age. North is 12, and the rumors surrounding what was allegedly found are the kind no parent ever wants to imagine, let alone see with their own eyes. Fans claim Kanye completely lost it, and honestly, that reaction is the part that feels the most human. Strip away the celebrity, the controversy, the headlines, and what you're left with is a father staring at a screen and realizing something about his child's world doesn't feel right. That kind of fear doesn't come with a filter, and it doesn't wait for confirmation. It hits instantly, and according to speculation, that's exactly what happened here. At first, the internet did what it usually does when Kanye is involved. It rolled its eyes. Another outburst. Another meltdown. Another chapter in the long-running narrative that Kanye West is unstable, irrational, and impossible to co-parent with. Memes popped up. People questioned his mental state. Others dismissed the situation entirely, saying it sounded exaggerated or fabricated, just another excuse for him to attack Kim and the Kardashians. But then something shifted. The details, still unconfirmed, still rumored, started sounding uncomfortably specific. This wasn't a vague rant or a cryptic Instagram post. Fans noticed that his reactions seemed targeted, panicked, and unusually focused on one thing, protecting his daughter. And that's when people started asking whether this was really another Kanye spiral or whether something genuinely triggered it. That question gets heavier when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, especially the ongoing tension between Kanye and Kim over custody, control, and decision-making. This isn't just about who has the kids on which days. Fans point to the trademark controversy as a major turning point, when Kim secured the names and likenesses of their children, leaving Kanye publicly furious and feeling cut out of choices involving his own kids. At the time, many sided with Kim, framing it as a practical business move. But in hindsight, some are reconsidering what that fight represented. Because control over a child's name, image, and future earnings isn't just legal. It's power. Power over access, over branding, over how those children are presented to the world. And in that context, Kanye's fear starts to look less like jealousy and more like desperation to slow something down before it goes too far. From there, the conversation gets darker because Kanye has spent years insisting that Hollywood is not a safe place for children, especially famous ones. He's repeatedly claimed that the industry normalizes things that shouldn't be normalized, and that kids raised inside it grow up without real protection or boundaries. For a long time, those warnings were brushed off as conspiracy or paranoia. But now, with these alleged messages circulating and fans connecting dots, the tone has changed. This stops feeling like gossip and starts feeling like unease. People aren't debating fashion choices or brand deals anymore. They're asking whether fame itself creates blind spots, where inappropriate behavior can hide behind wealth, access, and silence. That's where fans start talking about what they call the Kardashian machine, not as a proven fact, but as a pattern they believe they've seen repeat over decades. Controversy turned into currency, boundaries blurred in the name of exposure, and shock repackaged as empowerment. Kris Jenner's role as a manager, not just a mother, comes up constantly in these discussions. Supporters see a brilliant businesswoman. Critics see someone who has historically prioritized visibility over privacy. And while none of that proves wrongdoing, fans argue that it creates an environment where lines can get fuzzy, especially for children growing up in front of cameras, contracts, and millions of strangers. To reinforce that fear, people point to moments from the past that made them uncomfortable even at the time. Age gap relationships that were brushed off. Situations where supervision felt questionable in hindsight. Public interactions that fans now describe as unsettling rather than glamorous. Again, these are not presented as evidence, just as examples people cite when questioning whether fame has repeatedly overridden caution. Each incident on its own might be explainable, but stacked together, they form a picture that some viewers can't ignore anymore. And that's why this story has hit so differently. Because if even a fraction of these rumors are rooted in something real, then this isn't about Kanye being difficult or dramatic. It's about a father who believes he sees a pattern forming and is panicking because he doesn't know how to stop it. The scariest part isn't the speculation itself. It's the possibility that the warning signs were always there, hidden behind luxury, celebrity, and the assumption that powerful families are automatically protective ones. And once that thought takes hold, it's hard to shake. Under all the chaos, what's making people pause now is how familiar this all sounds. Long before these current rumors ever surfaced, Kanye had already been shouting about the exact fears people are whispering about today. Years ago, during moments the public labeled as breakdowns, he warned that his kids are being pushed into an industry that chews people up and spits them out, especially young girls. At the time, his words were dismissed as rambling, controlling, or attention-seeking. But now, fans are replaying those clips with fresh ears, noticing how specific his language was. He didn't just talk about fame or money. He talked about protection, boundaries, and people having access to his children that made him uncomfortable. What once sounded unhinged is now being reframed as a man screaming because he felt powerless to intervene. Back then, Kanye openly accused the Kardashian family of normalizing things he believed were dangerous, repeatedly saying he didn't want his daughters sexualized, marketed, or exposed before they were old enough to understand what that meant. He talked about Hollywood as if it were a trap, not a playground, and warned that once kids are turned into brands, their safety can become secondary to their value. Those comments were widely mocked, turned into headlines about his instability. But now, with these alleged messages and the growing unease around North's exposure, fans are asking whether those warnings were less about control and more about fear. Because fear makes people loud. Fear makes them irrational. Fear makes them say things badly, but it doesn't mean the fear itself isn't real. That's where the emotional tone starts to shift. Instead of seeing Kanye as the villain in this story, more people are viewing him as an alarm bell. Loud, chaotic, impossible to ignore, but ringing for a reason. This reframing doesn't erase his past behavior or excuse the damage he's caused, but it complicates the narrative. It raises the possibility that this was never about punishing Kim or controlling the family image. It may have been about a father who sensed something was off and didn't have the language, tools, or support to express it in a way people would take seriously. And when someone feels unheard long enough, they stop trying to sound reasonable. What's especially unsettling is how often Kanye said he felt outnumbered, that decisions about his kids were being made without him, that contracts, appearances, and access were already being negotiated while he was portrayed as unstable for objecting. In that context, his most extreme statements start to read less like threats and more like desperation. Fans are now questioning whether the system around these kids is so polished and powerful that dissent automatically gets framed as madness. And if that's true, then how many warning signs get ignored simply because the person raising them isn't likable or easy to deal with? Still, none of this comes with clean answers. There is no confirmation, no clear timeline, no proof the public can point to and say, this is what happened. All there is are fragments, old quotes, new rumors, uneasy patterns, and a growing sense that something doesn't sit right. That uncertainty is what makes this moment so uncomfortable. Because if this is all nothing more than speculation, then it will eventually fade like so many celebrity scandals before it. But if even a small part of it is real, then this isn't just about Kanye West or the Kardashians. It's about what happens to children raised inside fame, power, and silence. And that's where this story refuses to end neatly. Because no one knows the full truth yet. Not the public, not the fans arguing online, maybe not even the people at the center of it. But the questions aren't going away. If a father's worst fears appear to be lining up with reality, even partially, then the real issue isn't whether Kanye was right or wrong. It's whether anyone listens soon enough. And until there are real answers, this doesn't feel like celebrity drama anymore. It feels like a warning that's still ringing, unanswered, while everyone argues over the noise instead of the fire.